So this was most definitely an interesting episode in the Changeling. Whilst it didn't feel like there were a ton of revelations, there were a few developments, and we got to see everything that Emma had been up to during the aftermath of the events that occurred. With the importance being placed on the Norway maple tree and us hearing Kindergarten's voice as the episode opened, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this episode. So let's get into it. Here is the Changeling episode 6, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. William Wheeler is behind the messages. One of the first things that we learned in this episode was that William Wheeler, aka Kindergarten, was the mysterious person that was behind the unknown number messages that Emma had been receiving throughout Brian's early years. We know this because after Emma had escaped from her apartment after destroying the changeling that was in place of baby Brian, she received messages basically mentioning that he knew about the process that was going to be taking place that the Wise Ones told her about, and that she'd not be able to escape him. As she was reading through this message, it was William's voice that was reading the message aloud to us. There were a few other clues that were in place that hinted at the fact that it could have been William that was behind the messages. One of the first times that I thought it could have been him was a couple of episodes back, when he sent Apollo a message and it came through as unknown, and he was messaging about Emma. Plus, the next time that I thought that was in last week's episode, where we saw that he lied about being aware of Emma for a while and being mesmerized by the photo that was on display in the gallery. I think this could mean a couple of different things. Either this confirms that William is a fairy and that he's the person who's behind the taking of Brian, and he wanted to get onto North Brother Island so that he could finally know more about the victims that he and the other fairies had made. Or he could be a troll, something else that's often familiar in folklore and fairy tales. I say this because when he was revealed as Kindergarten, he had the behavior of an online troll. So it made me think that the troll species could have a stake in the game and find their way into the story in some capacity. But either way, William was behind the messages that Emma was being sent. The importance of the Norway maple tree. When Emma destroyed the changeling that was in place of Brian inside of his crib, confirming what she originally thought was the case, the changeling appeared to vanish, and in its place a stick off of a branch was present there. This was something which was also common amongst other mothers that were on North Brother Island. There were leaves, soil, and sticks that would be left. Whilst Emma was on the island with a drawing of the leaf that was left in a different crib, we saw that one miraculously fell into her hand whilst she was lying down. This turned out to be a leaf from the Norway maple tree. With the assistance of Wheels, a history buff, she found out that there was a little Norway which was located in the park where those trees would most likely be present in the city. This was again another link to Norway in the show. We've had the Norwegian photographer, William speaking in Norwegian, the Norway maple tree, and Little Norway. I understand that the mythology of a changeling stemmed from Europe and that there's a stronghold of that myth present in Scandinavia, but I feel it's more than just a deliberate nod to its potential origin. It very much seems as though the line that was taken from the book that's ever present throughout this show, which is about fairies caring for a child that had a changeling swapped in its place. They bathe it at dusk, they hide it with guile, at home in the forest, forever lost in the wild. It seems as though the importance of that line is there because Little Norway could be the place where the fairies live in New York City, and where Brian could be lost. We know that there have been multiple children that have gone missing, and even the missing people posters in this episode confirmed that it was still happening, so they'd most likely have to be in the proximity of the city in order to keep doing it. I feel when Emma crosses that border into the forest, a similar thing will happen like when Apollo went to North Brother Island. She'll cross a border that she didn't even know existed, and mysterious things could end up occurring, which could bring her closer to finding her son. Why was Emma glowing? As the episode drew to a close, we saw that as Emma was rowing the boat off into the distance so that she could get back into the city, there was an illuminous blue glow that was present around her. This is something that could mean a ton of different things, and there are multiple theories that could account for it. The first could be that Emma is a sorceress, or she's some kind of witch. We know that the Wise Ones are said to be a group of witches, so there's nothing to say that Emma could not be one, or have embodied one after being on North Brother Island. She was injected with something too. Whilst we were under the impression that it was just a sedative, could there have been something different in there? Or could the glow that Emma was emitting have something to do with the third wish that still hasn't been revealed in the show? What's interesting about it is that she had the blue luminous glow around her when she was stating that she was going to be finding Brian, something which we know was her second wish, so it could be something that's connected to that. We saw that when she originally left her apartment at the start of the episode, she was almost gliding out of the alleyway and not walking. So it does make me wonder if the abilities that she gets are connected to the idea of her saving her son. I think that could be something. The final theory that it could be is that Emma could just simply have powers. This is a world that doesn't function like our own, so there's nothing to say that she couldn't. Overall review. I thought this episode was okay. I don't think it was as good as the previous couple of episodes, but I thought it was a creative way to show us what Emma had actually been up to since the night where she escaped, and it also fleshed out a lot of the backstory that was present surrounding North Brother Island. It was interesting seeing her story also connect to Apollo's, and her being in the same location as him when he was kicking off in the library. I do wonder if her meeting Wheels and the mole people is going to be something that's going to gain importance as time goes on. I imagine we'll see her there again, but with Apollo also mentioning how he was going to be going after her once he learned more about where she was heading to, I think we're going to see him retracing her steps, which could lead him down there. There are parts which I do think are a bit strange and make me question if it's real or not. For example, when the police were after her, she got away on a mobility scooter and they didn't go after her. It's strange, right? I don't know whether it's just poor writing or if it's done to make us question reality, and I'm hoping it's the latter. I do think that no real revelations are really being made, and all we're doing is uncovering new clues with nothing being found out. So with only 2 episodes left, it's looking like it's going to be putting itself in a situation where the ending could be a disappointment, because we're most likely going to have more questions than answers. For some people, that's fine, but for others, it's not, so it could be divisive. With the next episode looking like it's going to be focusing on Lillian and not be developing on from the plot in the present day, I feel next week's episode could leave us feeling a similar feeling, but time will tell with that. I do think it's a really enjoyable series and I'm enjoying the guesswork. I'd love to see a bit more of William Wheeler and understand more about the trolls or fairies or whatever it is that he is, rather than the riddles that we keep getting given. But hey, it's the nature of it, and I'll continue going with it. With 2 episodes to go, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and if baby Brian will be able to get found, and also if Apollo will ever be able to forgive his wife if he lays eyes on her again. So, there you have it, the Changeling Episode 6 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions, and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this episode? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.